when Bob does something right, I'm going to pull a hair out of Frank's head and put it on Bob's because the poor man has no hair on his head.
That is true.
That is true. All right. For those of you that are new to the show, there are three of us that host this show. Me, Mac McKoy, and my co-hosts are we just going to call you the Verse?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to say your last name, or are you just going to be Frank the Verse?
How about Frank the Verse Thomas?
Okay. And of course, we have the infamous Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat. And we have a text line, right, Bob?
Yes, we do.
And that's 515-442 KPOG. And I have no idea.
Or 5764.
Is that what it is? 5764? You're sure? Because I'm saying it on the air.
I believe so.
Okay, 5764. And so you are welcome to call up and tell us you hear us, or call up and ask a question, or
Send a text.
send a text on that number?
Yes, same number.
Same number as the text is also the what?
The call line.
Oh, so they call if they... Hold on, Frank, you're confusing me already.
See, he's yelling at me already.
I haven't yet raised my voice yet.
Oh, okay.
So if somebody wants to call and talk to Frank, they call 515-442-5764.
Right.
Got a call already.
And if they want to text us,
You
They
got a call
text the
coming
same
in.
number.
You got a call coming in right now.
Bob, you have to talk in the mic. I can't hear you.
Call coming in.
So do we take a call? What do I do, Justin? Do I push?
You click green.
Click answer.
Put the tape? There we go. Okay, now you got a caller. Are you there? Oh, it's Wendy from Nevada. Hi, Wendy. How are you? Can you turn it up? Or how do I turn up her volume? Talk again, Wendy.
Justin, we need some volume up on the caller.
Yeah, I'm not hearing. Call in is up. Wendy, hang on, kiddo. You're our first caller, so we're just making sure.
We're bringing the volume up on your call here a little bit.
Do you guys hear the static?
Yes, I can hear a little static.
Yeah. Well, how are you?
Is that better? I can hear her.
Oh my gosh, you moved to Kansas City?
I can hear her really loud. Maybe that's just.
All right, good. And you're doing well. To show why you're there? You're going to show us why you're there in Kansas City?
She's going to share her story why she's in Kansas City.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, when are you going to do that right now? Okay. Well, Wendy, thanks for listening. We love you and we appreciate you tuning in. You are our first caller. All right. Nice to be back. Bye-bye. So do you guys hear this horrible?
Yes, there's a hiss in my headphones, yes.
Okay. Because we shouldn't have that. But that's okay. So if you're hearing some type of really, I mean, it's like we're sitting in the middle of a windstorm kind of. Here, Justin, listen to that for just a second. Justin is our trusty high-tech.
Turn your mic down. It's too loud. It's
Dude.
clipping.
And you hear all that noise in there?
You sure do.
What do you think that's from?
Mute the laptop.
What's that?
The laptop. There.
Right there?
Yeah, now it's gone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I told you this was going to be, this is the show today, okay?
We're learning.
Well, here's what it is, okay? In the restaurant business, we always have a soft opening. And by the way, Bob, did you push Facebook Live?
Yes.
Okay. So hello on Facebook. So in the restaurant business, you always have a soft opening. And a soft opening is when you invite your best friends, you don't advertise it,
No, you shouldn't have that hiss.
you limit your menu, and you get your wait staff ready to serve customers, and you work all the bugs out. So that's what, I don't know, will we need more than an hour?
Well, the difference is the audience is getting to participate in working the bugs out.
Yeah, that's true. But is it going to take us? I mean, it'll be at least an hour, maybe all day.
Yeah.
Well, it might be all week though.
Yeah, it could be all week to get used to this different setup, but yes.
Bob, do you think we can do it this year?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure this computer out.
Now, Bob's got a new computer, and he's trying to figure that out. So, all right, so welcome back, and it's called The View from a Pew. It is not Max World Live anymore because there are 3 of us, and because we're not going to spend so much time bickering or debating politics.
That nasty P word.
So if you're missing Max World, and I know we did Max World on WHO, and we did it on 98.3, and we did it on 99.3, we're not going to do it anymore. Now, we are going to cover news events that impact us all, especially from the Breaking Christian News Network. And that's not a CNN thing. It's actually called Breaking Christian News. Bob, is that right? Breaking Christian News?
Correct.
Okay. So we'll cover stories. And of course, there's a huge story coming out of that today, and we'll talk about that a little later. But we're not going to do the political talk, and I'm sorry. Maybe we'll do a podcast sometime. I have no doubt that something's going to happen, and you know who, we call him Cyrus, is going to tweet one of his dumb midnight tweets when he's up eating Burger King. And Frank will have to go on a rant, and I'm just going to do the best I can to try to keep Frank in line. I couldn't do it for 10 years. I don't know why I think I can do it now. I'm older and he's wiser. Or no, you're older and I'm wiser.
One or the other.
Well, it's nice to hear from Wendy. I didn't know she moved.
Yeah, she, I believe her and her husband is taking care of an elderly parent, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So they had to move from Nevada to Kansas City.
All right. That's good. That's good. And we want to thank Justin again. If you're on Facebook Live, you can probably see Justin there. He's our talent guy. No, he's our tech guy.
He's our resident geek squad.
Yeah, and who we would probably not even be able to be on the air without today. And thank heavens he's there. Oh, Jill just signed in. Jill says, ha, ha, ha. What are you ha about? What are you laughing about already? Jill, there's nothing to laugh about. This is important stuff. All right, well, we'll hear from Jill, I'm sure. All right, the other thing, a couple of other things that you can do is you can purchase, well, you can actually get it online for free, can't you? Can't you just go on the website and pick up the
Quarterly? Yes.
The quarterly? All right. So there's a Bible study called the Quarterly. And we have it in in hardware, paperback. But you can order them. You can get them from a local church, and every day of the week it talks about a Bible study and Sabbath study, and so that's what we're going to do. So unlike the old shows that you never knew what was going to go on that day, because I never talk about what we're going to do on the show today, because it usually involves current events or a politician or a guest, and a lot of times people don't show up, not a lot, but enough, where we'd be caught with our big boy pants down. So, but now you can follow along, and it's online. You can also pick it up on an app, and it's called Preparation for End Times is just this quarter.
Right.
So it's called Sabbath School Bible Study Guide. And so a little later today when we get going, and Frank, I can't believe, we did not choose today's date.
No.
June 4th, 2018.
No.
Because of what the study is.
Absolutely.
But boy, what a powerful study.
Yes.
This is going to burn the pants off of us. It's Revelation 13, 11 through 12. And, well, I'll let Frank explain it later on, because that's why we call him the verse. So, Robert, how you doing over there?
I'm doing well. A lot of people are signing in and talking on Facebook.
Okay, good.
And sending texts, so I'm responding to people.
Okay, well, good.
It has your name on it, but it's actually me.
Yeah.
Did you tell him it?
Cause some havoc.
Yeah, I did. So I just have to be careful what I say, because you might get blamed.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
Hey! I never thought about that. How do we do that so it's you? That would have to be on your Facebook page.
Exactly. You got a lot more friends than me.
And Justin, we can't do multiple Facebook pages at a time with one camera.
No.
No. Okay. Well, yeah, just know that if you comment on Facebook, it's Bob. And I'm feeling very uneasy about this. I must be honest.
If Bob gives a nasty response, it came from Mac.
Yeah, that's it. If Bob says something nice, then it's Bob. And if he says something crappy, then that means it's me. All right, well, I'll get on Facebook here and watch out what we're doing anyway. So, well, it is a pleasure to be back on. Frank, how long have we been working on this? You said the other day, March?
Well, the board meeting that we attended was what, April the 29th?
No, it was April 15th. It was my,
No, because you had to postpone it.
because of that. Right, April 29th.
So we done a board meeting on April 29th, and you arbitrarily picked June 1st to start, but since June 1st started on a Friday, they moved it till Monday.
June 4th, yeah. So, and also something we've never had before, we have a board of directors. So I have to be good
Keeps you in line.
because I'm now answering to somebody other than me.
You're always answering somebody other than you.
Well, I know Justin just said you're always answering to somebody other than me, but see, God's nice to me. I mean, he has nothing but grace for me. He does nothing but forgive me.
What's that EGR stand for?
Extra grace required. That's what my householder said I am. I'm an EGR, extra grace required. So anyway, all right.
You got a text coming.
You got a text coming in there? See, Justin knows how to do this stuff. So Justin's mother works at a local store here, and he said, well, when you go in to the store, say hi to my mom for me. So I walked up to her. She didn't know who I was, and I said, are you Justin's mother? And she looked at me and she said, has there been an accident? Do I look like something official?
Well, you have to understand that when I was in a car accident, the first person that greeted her was a chaplain.
Oh, well, I have shorts on, so I doubt if I look like a chaplain.
Well, then you've got the forgiveness on your shirt. So
Oh, the forgiveness church.
That might have gave you away.
All right, and I haven't logged into our website yet, but I've been told that it's going to be ready. And the website is simply theviewfromapew.com. Theviewfromapew.com. Very simple. We'll have our podcasts on Facebook until we can figure out how to record them in-house and put them someplace else. And then we'll have those for you available. If you're wondering where the studio is, we have set up a temporary studio with just one single camera for now. A couple, 3 months down the line, when everything's going well and we know this is what God's will is for our life, then we'll probably rebuild the Webcast One studios, and we'll have the green screen, and we'll have all of that stuff that we used to have that everybody liked. And we'll have the multiple phone lines and everything like this. But for now, it's just the minimum to be able to fulfill what we think is God's will for us to help people understand and learn about the Bible. And of course, I'm the least knowledgeable of the Bible certainly in the room. Am I the least knowledgeable in West Des Moines? So as always, you jump on my bandwagon, and we're going to learn Bible stories and prophets and all those things that we've been doing. You and I have been doing since about 2008, and we're going to continue to do that because I'm always hungry to learn, and I'm the last one to tell you that I know anything. I have discovered in my life, somebody would say to me, well, you're not very humble. And I said, well, who wants to be humble? What's so cool about being humble? And then I learned that the definition of humble is to be teachable. And I want to be really teachable. And so Frank will continue to be our expert. And Bob will be the brains of the outfit. And I don't know, what does that leave me? The board operator, I guess. All right, we're going to take a break. We will be running some readings and some Bible studies and things like that for our breaks for a while until we get everything in and running, and Dan does his ministry of bringing supporters to our table. What'd you do?
I unmuted the laptop.
I have that noise in my headphone again.
He turned the laptop
Well,
on.
if you want to play.
Oh, because we're going to play something. All right. We'll be back.
What's that? Oh, your phone?
Just ignore that.
Okay.
I get a lot of spam calls since I set up this website.
They can't hear us, right?
No.
No,
Jessica, is her cell number 713?
Yes.
Okay, she said that you're blocked. You blocked her, man? She can't get you on Facebook? I don't think you heard.
Yeah, you might have to unblock the page so she can get it.
Oh, when you just comment back to me.
Here we go.
Put me in the Facebook.
you about ready?
The Facebook page is Mac. Is it yours?
Yeah.
Do we know
I'm trying to
name
remember
is
where to go
Facebook?
live.
Mac J. Michael McKoy? Is that it?
All right, this is KPOG, the Power of God, 102.9 on the web at kpog.org. And we also have an app, which is kpog.org, and that's in your app store. It's free, and you can pick that up anytime, and you're able to listen on your phone. You're able to listen.
Ask me to
Hi,
try it
Wendy,
on
how are
Teams.
you? Can you,
Oh.
can you start?
Hold on, I did something wrong. Okay, so
Tell them to try
there's
it on
lots of
Teams.
different ways you'll be able to pick us up. One will be on the web at kpog.org, KPOG, Power of God. And then also we have an app that you can download. It's free, and you can listen to all of our programming that way. And also go to any of the websites, and you'll be able to tune it in. And of course, we're also on Facebook Live as of right now. We are on Facebook Live. And I don't know, at some point we will expand from that, but for right now, that's what we're going to do. All right, my daughter Rachel, love hearing on the air again. Thank you. Oh, you guys see, and when it says it's me, it's not me, it's him. It's the cat in the hat, Bob. We got to figure out how to do that. Everybody's going to think that that's me. Of course, you're awful nice, Bob. So, well, then they know it isn't me.
So do we have any comments on text that we need to read on air?
Not yet, other than they're happy to hear us back on the air again.
Well, I know. I paid them all. Dan Sorensen's listening. Dan, of course, is a team member here, but he's not an on-the-air guy, but maybe it will be down the line. And Jill, my assistant, yes, she's still sticking with her and Randy both. Can you believe it? Through everything that's happened, she has stuck around, and believe me, it ain't the pay. So love those folks and love the fact that they're in my life. So a lot of people, oh, Don, hi, Don. A lot of people, I don't know how many people have come up to you over the last year and asked, where we've been. But I fell off the wagon a year ago, over a year ago. And it wasn't good. And so I just had to get off the radio for a while.
So how many days were you on the wagon before that happened?
Well, 6 years and 4 days. So
it was almost 3,000 some days.
I don't know. You'd have to do your math there, genius.
Okay, I'm not doing math.
6 times 365 plus two leap years, so whatever that would be. You can't do that.
I'm not doing math on air. That's one thing that a certain atheist that used to broadcast in town said, don't try math on air.
Yeah. And so, but otherwise, we're back. Life is good. Life is very good. Very, very, very good. So, all right. I want to talk for just a second. And if you think, you the listener, if you think we are talking politics, I need you to tell me that. Because I have some gray area here. And I don't want to talk politics. I really don't. In fact, emotionally, when I thought about coming back and doing this show, my stress level would go way up when I think about working with Frank, when I would think about doing politics, which is what you get when you work with Frank. And then when I think about not doing any politics at all, not paying attention to what's going on in the news and not having to do all that, my stress level would go way down. And I really like that. I like that feeling in my life. But there are certain things that we need to talk about that affect us as Christians. And what better place to kind of help you know and inform you by, us doing it on the show. So the big news today is the Supreme Court of the United States. It happened in California the other day, in just the Supreme Court of California. And then, of course, it happened, was that Colorado? Was that the latest one yesterday?
Yes, Colorado. Baker.
The people, one of the people that originally started or were involved in this mess, and I'll just call it a mess if that's okay. And that was that if a couple of an alternative lifestyle, in this case it would be two gay men, went to a Christian baker and asked them to bake a cake for their wedding, if the Christian baker said no, it would be considered a human rights violation. Also, not human rights, Bob. What am I trying to think here? Not human rights. What?
Civil rights.
Civil rights. Thank you. Civil rights. And they were sued and put out of business. We had it happen right here in Des Moines, Iowa, with Betty and
Betty Older.
Yeah, they had the Gortz house in Grimes. And two men who had already been legally married in the county See, that's my sticking point. They set them up. They set Dick up. They set Betty up. They weren't going to have a reception. They were already married. Their license was in Polk County. But the devil works in amazing ways, and he gets us on our on where we stand the firmest in our beliefs. And to Dick and Betty, using their it was an old Lutheran church that was turned into a wedding reception place. I did a couple weddings there. You could lease it for lots of different reasons. It was open for lunch.
Wasn't it a wedding chapel?
Wedding chapel, yeah. I don't know. It's just so sad. It's just so sad that we have to do that kind of thing to each other.
Okay.
And I'm talking about the same way back from us, too. Some way it is just terrible that we as Christians treat some people who are different from us, who sin differently from us, worse than we would treat another sinner. And if you think I'm soft on the gay lifestyle or homosexuality, I'm not. I'm not soft at all. I'm not any softer on that than I am on drug or alcohol abuse or physical abuse within a domesticated situation. Or the number one thing, you want to get me lit on fire. You know what that is. That hasn't changed. Abortion. Murder. Anyway. So we want to bring things like this to your attention because it impacts us as Christians. But the question that I have today, and here's where I'd like you to respond. You can text it. You can call in. We're getting everything ready. You can put something on Facebook if you want. The text line and the phone line, they're the same, right, Frank?
Yes.
515-442-5764. And the 5764 is KPOG, which is the call letters of the radio station, which stand for Power of God. If you're west of the Mississippi, you've got a K, except a few exceptions. All right. Here's the question I want to ask on this. I don't want to ask. I don't really care if a Christian should be required to bake a cake or give services that against their religion or religious beliefs. That's not, I think, the most important thing. I think the conversation that needs to be had is what's next. I'm not talking about who's going to try to infringe upon the Christians. How are we going to infringe upon others? What's it going to be? Long hair? Is it going to be tattoos? Is it going to be missing your teeth? We know it can't be color of skin, and we know it can't be origin. But what else are we as Christians going to say? Our religious beliefs and the way we believe tells us that I don't have to serve blank. What's the next one that's going to come down the road? You know, we can sit here all day long and think how we're being infringed upon. But I think it's important that we think about how we're infringing upon people. 515-442-5764, or you can jump on Facebook and make a comment there. Frank?
The closer God gets to his second return, the persecution of Christians is going to ramp up a little at a time. And there's going to be a big issue that eventually happens, but the issues of, you know, baking cakes, you don't call somebody in Canada. If somebody walks into your shop and you don't call them by the exact name they want to be called, like if it's a man coming in and it's really a woman and you call them sir and they want to go by ma'am, or you call them ma'am and they want to go by sir, you can be fined and imprisoned in Canada for referring to somebody that they don't identify with.
So no matter what their gender was when they were born,
right?
If they decide they want to be a different gender, and you call them by what seems to be the obvious gender,
it
is against the law. You can be fined and put in jail.
That's in Canada.
Well, it's your voice we want to hear. 515-442-5764. Bob, you can, the Cat in the Hat, Bob Montserrat is over there, and you can text him or jump on Facebook, and he will respond. And if you want to get on the air, we'd love to have you on the air. As always, it's your voice we want to hear. It is, as I've always said in talk radio, you're the star of the show. It's not me. It's not Bob. Frank thinks it's him. But you're the star of the show, because without you, we're just talking into cans. And so if you've got an opinion, we want to hear about it. All I ask is that you just be nice. You know, we don't, hopefully we're never crabby to you, and we'd like you to not be crabby to us. All right, it's bottom of the hour. Next hour, we are going to take some prayer requests. That'll be what we do every day at 5 o'clock, or a little after 5. And then we're going to get into our Bible study of the day, which is Revelation 13, verses 11 through 12. Now, Frank, when we come back, will you give us just kind of an overview on what the Bible study is going to be and what the conversation is going to be in the next hour?
Yes.
Sure. All right. Thank you. 515-442-50. Who took my paper? Did you take my paper?
5764.
There it is. I got to take this somewhere. 515-442-5764. This is the power of God. It's the View from a Pew, live on 102.9 Power of God.
Okay, so we're off.
Except for the web feed, you're dead air over the.
Okay. They can still see us on here. Can they hear us on Facebook?
Yeah, there's a mic in there.
Over there. Okay. So I still have to watch my language.
All right, we're back here on the 4th day of June in Lord's year of 2018. The View from a Pew, back on the air. You're thinking, well, wait, it's Mac's World, right? Well, it is, but it's not. It's not, because we're not going to do the politics that I've done for so many years. We're going to talk about local events, current events, we're now talking about a Supreme Court decision that came down today out of the state of Colorado, saying that the Christian bakers that were sued, harassed, and put out of business a few years ago because they refused to bake a cake for a gay couple, the Supreme Court said, yeah, they can do that. You know, we've got an amendment. We've got amendments. We've got a constitution. And we can follow our religious beliefs as long as it doesn't, hurt somebody else. And the word no shouldn't hurt.
But what's the counterbalance to protect those individuals who want to live that lifestyle, plus protect the Christians who don't particularly want to engage in that lifestyle and support that lifestyle? So there has to be some balance.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's called a free market enterprise. If there is I don't like talking about gay issues so much because it just gets down. It just makes me get down, feel down. But
don't you agree that it's do you agree or disagree that it's assault on traditional marriage and the Bible upholds traditional marriage?
Right. Let me give you another example. So Frank wears a ponytail, has for I don't know how many years. If I want to put up a sign in my business that says we don't serve people with ponytails, I'm not so sure I can claim that as a religious belief. And that's kind of the conversation today.
But you can turn away someone as a restaurant owner for any purpose, right?
Well, no shirt, no shoes, no service. And I've fired customers many times. My thing in the restaurant business was real easy. The customer's always right until I no longer want you as a customer, and then you're fired. And I'm not trying to be an arrogant guy sitting here, but my first obligation is to my customer. But maybe it's the customer sitting next to the customer that's being a poop head. My second obligation is to my team, my staff. And if you're being a naughty person, if you're being rude, vulgar, or anything like that to one of my team members, I'm going to probably ask you not to come back. And I think that's acceptable. But can I tell somebody I'm not going to serve them a hamburger because they have a ponytail? Well, I think I'm probably legally I'm okay to do that, but I don't know why anybody would do that. So does that answer your question, Frank?
Yes.
All right, Robert, cat and hat. Well, did you show him your hat? Because you've got a really, I can't see it. You've got a really cool hat. He actually has a KPOG hat. And so at some point he'll probably turn around and look at the TV or look at the camera and show you that.
That's what I'm doing.
And I just realized how bald I'm going. Because the camera's up above.
Yeah, normally you can't see the top of your head.
Yeah, so I may have to, maybe I'll need to be Mac the hat. Mac the cat in the hat.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have any hair on top, so I'm trying to keep it warm.
Well, you have some.
Only on the sides.
Well, you can do that swatch over, like guys do.
Comb over?
Yeah, the comb over. They take
but people are
like 9 inches of hair coming across the front of their forehead.
But people insult you when you do that.
Well, probably correctly.
Well, if he was all vain, he could go to Bosley's for Men and have some hair transplant, put some of that was on the side on the top.
Yeah, I guess I'm not vain.
He's not vain.
Well, let me ask you this. Maybe this would be a fun radio thing. Frank, would you donate some of your hair follicles to be implanted on Bob's head?
Well, there is a problem there.
Uh-oh.
I'm redheaded, and Bob is salt and pepper.
What do you mean you're redheaded?
I'm red hair.
You're salt and pepper. Your beard's as white as Santa Claus.
Well, yes, but my hair's still red.
Oh, baloney. This is a high definition camera. Anybody who thinks his hair is red, let me know. I know his shirt is red. You had red hair at one time?
My hair, when I was when I was 3 years old, sitting in a little the old-fashioned wash tubs. My sister and I was probably 3 and she was 4. Our hair was bright orange.
Is that when you used to walk uphill and downhill to school the same day? My gosh, you're old. You took a bath in a wash tub?
Well, it was.
How did the water get hot?
The sun.
The sun. Really?
You would pour water in a wash tub, and the sun, it would sit out in the front yard, and the direct sun would shine on it, and then in the evening it'd be warm enough to get in and take a bath.
Oh my. All right, I said coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to do some prayer requests. So if you've got some prayer requests, we're going to do those every day at 5 o'clock after the news. And you can get on the air with us, and you can talk about your story or why you're requesting the prayer. We will do it. We will always do it anonymously. If you absolutely want to make sure, then when you text or you Facebook or whatever you do to tell us what the prayer request is, just what's the acronym for anonymous? ANOM, whatever Bob says, and you have our promise we won't do it. Otherwise, we will never use a last name unless the last name is pertinent. We would just say, well, Tim. Tim called in for a prayer request, and Tim wants 5 more children, and so he can start a small football team.
And if they text us, we don't get their name unless they give it to us anyway.
In text, in text we don't get that, but we get that on Facebook, because I just saw Tim was listening, and so, oh, there's Davey. Davey, how are you? Davey had a birthday yesterday. Did you know that?
Davey Bloom?
Yeah.
Hey, Bloomy.
He had a birthday. Happy birthday to Davey. All right. So, and what we have is we have a study guide called the Sabbath School Guide. Comes out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And every day there's a specific Bible verse or verses and a study. And we're going to do this every day on the show. So you can buy one of these books. I think you can download one for free online, or at least look at what it is. It can be delivered to your doorstep, your computer screen every day live. We're glad to do that for you. Or you can go to a bookstore and get them there, or they're also on a free app. The board has done an excellent job on this station, getting you an opportunity to look at it, watch it, listen to it, many ways, many sources, many vehicles. We've got a great app, KPOG. It's free of charge.
If they want to get
you talk into the mic so they can hear you. This is Justin.
All right. If you want to get the quarterly for free online, just visit www.ssnet.org. That's www.ssNancyEdwardTom.org.
All right, and that's where you can get it online free of charge, or you can get it at the bookstore or whatever. So you will be able to participate with us and at least know that what we're going to talk about. For instance, tomorrow we're going to be in Revelation 14, Revelation 16, Revelation 19, and Revelation 20. And what do all the verses tell us about how crucial the issue of worship has become? This, of course, in the final days in John's writing in Revelation. But today, it is an accident, or as we would say, coincidence is God's way of revealing himself, that our first day on the air is probably one of the toughest, certainly the toughest chapter in Revelation, but also one of the hardest to deal with as far as verses go. And Frank, I just kind of want you to explain what that is for a minute.
Well, Revelation 13, I believe, and we believe as a denomination and a faith, that America is prophesized in prophecy in Revelation 13. And it's in verse 11 and 12. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and it had 2 horns like a lamb, and spoke like a dragon, and it exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So this verse that prophesizes America, I will read here a little bit what's in the lesson study. It says, the beast precedes this one, long viewed as Rome by Protestants. It was depicted as having been given power for 42 months in Revelation 13:5. The 42 months are the same as the time and dividing of times of Daniel 7:25, or the 3.5 years of Revelation 12:14. So this beast power or the wound that was given to the beast, the fatal wound, happened in about 1798 when Napoleon's general Berthier took the Pope into captivity, and he lived out his life in exile. That was the wound of the beast. So this new beast that is this lamb-like beast, meaning.
Hold on, what lamb-like? What is that?
Okay. In Revelation, Christ is called a lamb in the book of Revelation 28 times.
Okay.
Okay, so Christ.
I'd ask how you know that, but I would imagine you counted. 1, 2, 3. No, that's not lamb. 3.
So this nation that would come up out of the earth. Now understand in Bible prophecy, in Daniel and Revelation, that when a beast generally comes up out of the sea, and sea represents people, so these beasts would generally in Europe conquer over and over and over the same territory. So if Babylon would be conquered by Medo-Persia, Medo-Persia would be conquered by Greece, they would all be conquered by Rome. It was the same territory being conquered over and over and over again. So in Revelation, this new beast comes up out of the earth, meaning a new start, a fresh start. There's nothing that's a fresher start than the United States of America's founding. And this beast power would be predominantly a religious nation. So our religious nation was founded as a Protestant republic, and it would have these lamb-like, Christ-like characteristics of a religious nation, but it says that this nation would soon begin to speak as a dragon. Now, the interesting part about it having 2 horns is these 2 horns are uncrowned horns. And this beast would be distinguished from the other beast powers because this beast would have no king/monarchy. It would not be ruled by a king. It would be a Protestant republic. It would be a representative republic, pardon me. And it would have no church-run state. So in other words, it wouldn't be like the Church of England, the Anglican Church, and it would not be like Papal Rome. So this clues and these hints that it gives you to this beast power coming up after 1798 can only, because the founding of the country was in 1776, so this beast power can only identify the United States that would soon begin to persecute Christians like a dragon.
Wow. That was a long explanation, Frank. Can you give me the cliff notes? Basically, what you're saying is that Revelation identifies America as a religious country, a Christian country,
Christian nation,
and the Christians will be so persecuted that it will bring Jesus back to save us. However, you believe that God has delayed that from what he may have originally thought about through the fact that we're kind of having somewhat of a revival here in this country?
Well, there will be, in my opinion, there will be a true revival and a false revival as God gets closer to the end of time. The true revival will be earmarked with the law, obedience, faith, and the false revival will be earmarked by feelings, miracles, signs, wonders, things of that nature. So that will earmark the 2 revivals. But currently what is going on is, without getting too political, and I'm not going to get political, but we have a president of the United States who I believe has been placed there by God to push back on these global NWO, New World Order forces that want to globalize the world. And what God, when God separated the languages at the Tower of Babel, and Babel, which Babel means confusion, part of Babylon.
Maybe we should change your name to Frank Babel.
But so the idea is that there's a push in this earth to globalize things and have a new world order and a global economy. And I believe our current president has been placed there by God to push back on these forces, not quite isolationism, but to push back on these global forces that want to unify the world into one global economy.
Okay. So that's what we're going to try to talk about next hour after prayer requests. And we've already got one prayer request in from Jill, who's asking for prayer for her church's mission team, which is going off here pretty soon. And you can Facebook those to us on my Facebook page at Mac, the initial J, Michael McKoy. And I don't have a picture of myself there anymore. I have a cartoon, and that's the disciples standing outside the empty tomb. And the caption is, he's changed his reference to risen. Not reference, what do they call that? Status to risen. And so that you won't be seeing a picture of me like I used to have for so long. But so that's what that is. Because there's a couple of accounts that I have on Facebook, but that's the one that you want to get on, as that's the one that has Bob watching it. And so when Bob responds, it'll be in my name, but it's him responding. So if you have any requests for any prayers or anything like that, let us know. When we come back, we're going to take a brief break here with a couple of Bible readings. And then when we come back, we're going to take your prayer requests, say our prayers, and then we're going to discuss our daily study, which is Revelation 13, 11, and 12, which marks, I got to raise this up here, which marks help us to identify who this power is, and that would be the power, the mark of the beast.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, the mark of the beast.
Bob, you got anything over there to share right now?
Comment from Brenda. Yes, Frank, he's pushing back these forces of evil, but only for a time.
That's true.
What happens after that?
Well, God has his angels stationed at the four corners of the earth and says, do not harm the earth until my people are sealed. When his people are sealed, whatever that number is, and I believe I know the number, but whatever that number is that seals those people, when those people are sealed, God says, let go, and it is game on. So
What do you mean you know the number? The mark of the beast?
no, the number of people who need to be sealed to bring on Christ's coming.
Well, it's getting fun, and we haven't even been here an hour yet. All right, we're going to take a break. I'm J. Michael McKoy, and this is The View from a Pew on KPOG, the power of God, 102.9.
Doing good, buddy.
Thanks.
Just think of all those buttons you're gonna have to press tomorrow when I'm not here.
Oh, you're here.
Well, I'm wondering where the other stuff is on here. He had some music and stuff for me, but apparently maybe he didn't.
It's in
Did you have the lesson help?
the rotation somewhere, but I don't know how to get back to it.
Yeah. This is the teacher's book. He's got the instructors. I got adult teachers.
Right.
Is that what you're
Oh,
looking
okay.
for? I think he is.
Oh, Feldman's watching. The Jews are here.
You know that's gonna go over the internet.
What?
What you just said.
How's it going to go with the lights on?
This microphone is on.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm not hearing it in my ear.
Hey, how are you?
Ryan, you're gonna be on camera if you come much closer.
I got some stuff to do. Been listening up so far.
Oh.
Troy, you remember Troy Vicker?
Yeah.
This may be for you, Frank. It says, is it between 1 and 10?
Yes.
All right, we are back. It's about 5 minutes before the top of the hour. We will have Salem Radio Network news as a part of this program, as well as some local news. But for just today, probably, we're not going to have Salem Radio Network news because, quite frankly, I don't know how to play it. This is all tech stuff, and Justin's here, and he's doing an amazing job but I can't find how to bring up Salem Radio Network News. So just being transparent, just trying to be honest with you. There's some stuff that we probably won't have the first day or the first few days, and we're just going to kind of slowly move into this. You're not going to see any big ads on television yet or in the newspaper or anything that the show's on the air. We're going to wait a little bit, and I guess you'd call it work the bugs out of it, because this is a brand new studio. It's a brand new setup. It's a brand new frequency. In many ways, it's a different format because we are not just simply taking what the top news story is, which is usually politics, and then rambling around about that for ages and ages. I will have guests on like we've always had, and the most important guest that may be on is you. Because I like to use the platform of radio and the internet to help people tell their stories, to help people share their testimony, to help people share the challenges and troubles and heartaches that they've had in their lives. Because you're going to be listening to one of these people tell their story, and you're all of a sudden going to get a shiver down your back, and the hair's going to stand up on the back of your neck. And you're going to realize that God just brought that person beside you to share their story so you can better understand your story. That's how God uses us. He uses us to help other people. Now, you might think, well, you know, mean people shouldn't breathe. It's one of my favorite bumper stickers. And no, we shouldn't. Because I'm mean sometimes too. But the point is that if God could use us as he created us, we would only be here as helpers. We would do everything we possibly could, which I think would be anything, right? Because God made it that way. Help our fellow man. But then, you know, Adam and Eve, the apple, the serpent, the snake, the whole 9 yards, you know, we fell. Sin came upon us. And we spend more time hurting each other rather than helping each other. You know, the farther I get into my journey with Christ, the more I'm becoming a red letter Christian. And what does that mean? Well, it means I believe in the four corners of the Bible. I believe everything that's in the Bible is God sent and God enhanced, and God brought it up and told Paul to write it and told Timothy to write it and told Moses to write it. But what Jesus said is kind of the backbone of my faith. And he came to love. He came to give us grace. And he came to forgive us as we forgive others. You know, the other day I was driving down the road and I was talking to God. And I asked him to forgive me for something I had said or done. And all of a sudden it hit me. Why do we ask God to forgive us? He did that on the cross. He's already forgiven us. He knows what a bozo thing I'm going to do today, tomorrow, the next day, tonight. He knows. He's got Frank's list. It's a thick book, like War and Peace, of all the stuff he's going to forgive him for. But he's already forgiven you. You ever thought about that? So maybe our prayers shouldn't be, God, please forgive me. Maybe it should be, God, thank you for forgiving me.
Well, picture it like a marriage between a man and a woman, and you get up and you have a bad day, and you offend your wife, or your wife offends the husband. You immediately want to say you're sorry. You don't want the sun to go down on that argument. So it's not that you're married, so in some sense your wife has accepted your failures in advance. But when you offend her in a daily offense, you would certainly want to apologize on the spot and make reprimands for some way that you had wronged her. That's the same relationship we have with Christ. He has forgiven us of all our sins, but when we do something offensive to him, we want to say, hey, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, but we'll have to have that conversation sometime, because, you know, one of the things that I don't understand very well is repentance. I understand that we should ask God for repentance, and we should be repentant on the things that we do wrong. But he's already forgiven us for those things. whether we repent or not. Is that a true statement, or am I wrong on that?
Well, yes, when we accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, but I'm talking about the daily walk with Him, that when we trip up, we just apologize and ask forgiveness for that misgiving and that failure, and God's going to forgive us, as He says, forgive 7 times 7 times 70 or whatever. But it's the idea that when we trip up, we just ask forgiveness.
All right. It's the top of.
Go ahead.
It's the top of the hour, and you're listening to KPOG Grimes.
That's it.
We are the power of God. We're going to have a song, and then we'll be back with your prayer requests. Here live on The View from a Pew. This isn't playing.
Oh, I don't know. I can't get it to play.
You check it over here.
Then click play and see what happens. Up here.
Here.
Did it play? Oh, maybe you might like it.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
Is it not playing it? I can't get it.
Right here.
I think we're being heard on the radio.
Well, there's nothing on now.
Well, we're just coming back.
Facebook.
Might have to come back. All right, well, as I told you, that this was a day of transparency, and we just wanted to play a song to give us a couple-minute break here, and I can't figure out how to run the computers very well, so I'm old. So we're coming back now with some prayer requests, and we had one prayer request I saw on the sheet from Jill, which said, oh, come on, macaroni. Jill King, please pray for the mission team from our church in Boone who is heading for Guatemala on Wednesday. Their destination is about 30 miles from the volcano. The volcano. Is there a volcano going off over there
Oh, yeah.
in Guatemala?
Yes. 62 or so people died.
When was that?
Well, that started yesterday.
Oh my gosh, I totally missed that. I mean, I know about the volcano in Hawaii.
Right. Yeah, this is Guatemala. Yeah.
Well, Jill, why are they going if they're 30 miles from the volcano? This would be a good time to delay the trip. You know, because if you get there and the volcano goes crazy, they're not coming back. Oh, well, I'll see what Jill has.
And we do have another prayer request.
Go ahead.
From Brenda. Pray for my granddaughter, Krista, that she will be protected and will obey the Lord. Thank you.
All right. And hey, your best friend's listening, Chris John.
Oh, hello, Christian, buddy.
I talked to Chris John the other day on the phone. He's doing really good. I'm really proud of him. He and his significant other are both in graduate school. I think, what, North Carolina? South Carolina?
No, West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Pardon me, Virginia, Blacksburg, Virginia.
Okay. And yeah, they're doing their stuff down there, and he's enjoying it. And it's nice to see that. I love it.
Virginia Tech, I believe.
Virginia, really?
Yes.
That's a big time school.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Any other prayer requests in on the text line? You can text those to us at 515-442 KPOG, which is 515-442 5764. 5764. And you can text those to us. You can also put them on Facebook. That is also the place for you to call until we get an advanced phone system, which we'll get here pretty soon. That is our call line and our text line. And always, it's your voice we want to hear on the radio. You're the star of the show. It's not us. I mean, it's Frank, really, but you know, I just say it's you because if If I don't tell Frank he's the star, then he gets into this fetal position in the corner and he cries like a child. So you're the star, Frank. And so, now if you're driving down the road, you do not need to close your eyes while we pray. You understand that? I know we were taught as children that we get out of our bed, we get on our knees, we put our hands together like the little praying hands, we close our eyes and we pray to God. Well, there's nothing that says you can't talk to God while you're driving down the road. But don't shut your eyes. You don't have a religious, here we go, from last hour. You don't have a religious freedom to wreck your car into somebody else because you're praying while driving. There you go. That's not a good one.
So there's not like DWI, there's not a PWI.
Praying while intoxicated?
Or, yeah, something to that effect.
Well, no, it wouldn't be praying while intoxicated.
Well, I think, Matt, the Bible does have a verse that says watch and pray.
Watch and pray?
Yeah.
All right. I'm all for that. And usually we would run a little music underneath here, but once again, I am deficient. Not efficient, right? That'd be good. I'm deficient on this fancy little computer program.
It would be DWP, driving while praying.
There you go. What's he showing me, Bob?
He's showing me how to do it. He's doing it for you.
Okay.
Okay, so all you've got to do is click play and it should.
All right, we push that, and then where do I
Right
push?
there. Where you got it, just click
Right
play.
here? Okay, good. All right, we'll take a break and we'll come back live here on the Power of God, 102.9.
It's Matthew 26:41. Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. Right there. Watch and pray.
So I wonder what this sounds like to the audience.
Bob said it's gonna sound good.
And if we sound like we're a bunch of rational people or a bunch of crazy
I've
lunatics.
got a lot of good comments from Brian and from Bob.
Okay.
And he was showing me, he took control of this computer. He's been showing me how to get it to play.
Bob's took control of it?
He has control of that computer. He was showing me how to make it play a song.
Oh, okay, cool. So is he home or is he in?
He's at home, controlling this PC from his PC.
Okay.
That's technology.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he said turn the thing back on so that I have control over it. So in case we forget to shut something off, he can turn the switch back over.
Brenda,
Technology, huh?
Brenda says, whoop, whoop, Frank.
Who says?
Brenda.
Oh.
I don't know what that was for, but before you said something, obviously. Yeah, I'm getting the hang of this, so.
Good, but
Oh, I got a text. It's from Jessica. I pray that this new show is blessed by God.
no thanks. So is this like the top of the hour break, or are we past the top of the hour?
It's 5:06. We're a little bit past because we couldn't figure out how to get the song to play. And Bob was trying to show me how to make it play. I said, the computer's going crazy, and I realized Bob was inside of it.
Yeah. It's weird when somebody else has got control of the computer and you're sitting there watching the mouse move around on the.
So what did we do to play that? What did we do differently?
Bob's playing.
Bob went in and showed how to do it. You have to click the gray box shows what's playing next. So you can just, after this one's done, you can just bring it to a stop. That other gray box, Amazing Grace, is clicked. That'd be the next song that would play automatically.
So when this gets over, it's automatically going to play Amazing Grace. And if I uncheck this, then it won't.
Correct. It'll just stop.
Oh, it doesn't count down, it counts up.
Yes, it counts to see how it's getting red as the song's ending.
What's getting red? Oh, yeah.
The bar. It's telling you it's getting ready to end.
All right.
I'm sure
Joey.
it's going well for the first day.
Huh?
I think it's going well for the first day. There's a
Thanks
lot of
to you.
Yeah. We was here by ourselves and
Who's Brenda Frankfurt?
she's a friend of mine on Facebook.
Yeah, she's your fan, big fan.
Yeah, we talked a lot.
It's about ready to come to an end.
Okay.
Does it
Just know
sound
what to
good?
do. Just remember to
You've been listening the whole time? We haven't been getting too political, have we?
No.
I didn't think so.
A little after 5 o'clock, and we are live here on KPOG 102.9 FM, The Power of God. This is The View from A Pew. I'm J. Michael McKoy with my co-hosts Frank the Verse Thomas and Bob the Cat in the Hat Montserrat. We're back on the air. Not Mac's World, simply because we're going to spend way less time, maybe hopefully none, talking about politics. I hope, let's make a vow that we never, can we promise that we're never going to say the president's name? Can we come up with a code word for him, maybe?
Cyrus 1, Cyrus 2.
Perfect. And promise me no tweets. No tweets from him. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm serious.
No,
I
I
don't
agree.
I don't want that.
No, he's going to tweet irregardless. We just don't have to talk about it on air. No.
I think if we don't talk about him, he may stop tweeting. In fact, I may tweet to him, we're not playing with your tweets anymore. All right. A little bit later on this afternoon, we're going to talk a little more about the case from the United States Supreme Court that hit the papers today or yesterday, Bob? Was that ruling today or yesterday?
I thought I saw it today, but could have been yesterday.
Yeah.
Recent.
And that is that the Supreme Court overturned the punishment and chastising of the Christian bakers in Colorado because they refused to bake a wedding cake for a gay couple. And this isn't about gay rights. The question that's being asked is, we're exercising our religious rights. When do we go too far? You know, we were praying a little bit, and we said, don't close your eyes. Because, and what did you call it?
DWP,
Driving while praying.
driving while praying.
Because if you close your eyes and had a car accident and hurt somebody, you should not, I hope you agree with this, you should not be able to claim religious,
Persecution.
yeah, well, if for not being able to do that. Well, no, but it's the opposite of persecution. You shouldn't be able to claim you have the right to do that.
Religious right.
Yeah. And so that's the conversation I want us to have a little later on in the hour. I don't need to hear, and if you do, we can talk about it one day, but I don't need to hear all the different things that people think Christians should or shouldn't do because of our religious beliefs. I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear is from Christians about when will we say, no, that's too far? When will we say, no, you know what? I may have the religious right to not say that or to not do that, but I'm not going to claim that because I think if Jesus were my business partner, I think he'd probably tell me to bake the cake. Don't you think?
Well, let me ask you a question.
No.
There's plenty of cake bakers in the world. I'm sure that there's people who would volunteer to bake their cake. Why try to force an individual against their will to bake a cake? And do you really want to tick somebody off that's baking your cake?
Well,
Because you in the restaurant industry know that there's some funny things that go on in the restaurant industry when you complain about your food. Do you want to irritate somebody that's baking your cake?
I wouldn't do that. No.
No, I know you wouldn't, but
No, you don't. That's not the point. Well, anyway, we'll talk about that later. Right now, we're going to get into our daily prayer for everybody. We're running a little late today because I couldn't figure out how to put the music on, and I did, thanks to Bob and Justin. And usually we're going to run a little music bed underneath our prayers. But we don't have that music bed today. So if you would just, if you're driving, for heaven's sakes, pay attention. You can focus on a conversation with God at the same time you're driving. If you can't, you probably shouldn't be driving. And if you're someplace else, just let's pray. Papa, we've got amazing people listening today and taking part in the show. I thank you. I really thank you a lot. You've blessed us with another opportunity to preach the gospel and hopefully not wasting a word. And we thank you for those people listening, and whether they called in like Jill, or somebody called in about their grandkids, or typed in or texted in,
Brenda.
We know that everybody that is listening right now has a struggle on their heart. And we would just ask that you lift those people up and let them know you're here and that you love them. And that is non-negotiable. That you think they're amazing and wonderful and perfect, and you love them all the time, no matter what they do. And most importantly, they are forgiven. With our arms around your ankles at the foot of the cross, Jesus, we love you. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, so you can get a guidebook called Sabbath School Bible Study Guide. The Seventh-day Adventist Church puts it out, and it is fantastic. And every single day, there is a specific Bible teaching. And this, Frank, was it this quarter was on end times?
Yes.
Okay.
Started in likely April to June, and then usually 4 times a year, at the end of each quarter is a communion service with ordinance of humility, and that ends the quarter, and then the new quarter starts. So there would be 4 baptisms a year, 4 quarters.
All right. So today it is.
Pardon me, communions. I didn't mean baptism.
Today is Monday, June 4th, and the Bible study. I just can't believe. I'll never forget, Bob, that this was our first one on our first day. I just think that's God's hand is in everything. The United States in prophecy. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, hold on, Mac. This is 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago. These things were written, and the United States was nothing, non-existent. Didn't know it was there. The writers, the prophets, they never talked about 50 United States that sits in North America, or did they? People have asked, and understandably so, how could Rome have the kind of influence today or in the future that is depicted in Revelation 13? Probably one of the scariest chapters in the whole book. Long ago are the days when it could command armies, such as it did in past times. But that answer, too, is found in Revelation 13. Revelation 13, 11, and 12, which marks help us to identify who this power is. And with today's lesson, we'll turn it over to Frank.
Well,
until you say something I don't agree with. No.
Okay, then you jump in. Well, the beast power is Rome, and as you said, papal Rome no longer has any teeth, so it's mostly a religious power. But when a religious power combines with a government such as the United States, then it would have the military and economic might to sanction and to cause people to bow, yield, and kneel to its dictates.
All right, let me read 13, 11, and 12. When I saw another beast come up out of the earth, he had 2 horns like those of a lamb, but he spoke with the voice of a dragon. He exercised all the authority of the first beast. Then he required all the earth and its people to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. So that's 11, 12, And I guess I didn't read 13. Yeah, 11, 12.
So the first beast, as I say, if we follow the clues in Revelation 13, I will start here. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his head 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like a bear, and his mouth was the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and his great authority. So this is a clue to who this beast power is that's talking about, that Satan himself gave this beast its power and authority. Now we know that Constantine was the last emperor of Rome, and he moved the capital to Byzantium, and he renamed it Constantinople. We know that the papal Rome inherited all of Rome's basic power. And so Satan gave this beast power its authority. And I saw one of its heads as if it had been mortally wounded, and its deadly wound was healed, and the world would marvel and followed after the beast. So in 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte's general, Berthier, took the Pope into captivity, and the Pope lived out his life in exile from being taken captive. So that's what ended the first beast power, and it received a fatal or a mortal wound.
The beast did.
The beast, which is Rome.
I would just hold on. Talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old. I always thought the beast was a bad guy. I always thought the beast was the one that was going to bring us down. Well, how did I get that wrong? Because here the beast is a good guy.
No, the lamb-like beast that comes later is a good guy, supposedly. But a beast is something that has the power to persecute you, to put you to death. Look at all the crimes of Rome.
Judge.
Well, look at all the crimes that the papacy committed in its history.
When you say the papacy, are you talking about Rome?
Rome,
Catholic
Rome.
Church.
Well, I want to make the distinction here because I don't want to offend the general everyday Catholic that attends Mass, because there's many good people in Catholicism. I'm talking about the hierarchy of the church.
Okay.
I mean, you were burned at the stake. You were for all kinds of heresies. Like for example, Mino Simmons witnessed a man who had the audacity to be rebaptized when he was sprinkled as a youth by the Catholic Church. He was burned at the stake for that audacity of being rebaptized. So if you were labeled a heretic, you could be put to death for any reason by the church, by papal Rome. That's why it's called a beast, because you have no religious liberty other than what the church grants you to live. That's why we don't want any. That's why the founding of America didn't want any influence from papal Rome. Papal Rome donated a piece of, I believe, I don't know if it was granite, but the Catholic League grabbed the piece of granite and threw it in the Potomac River, because we had the history of the Anglican Church to go by, and we had the history of the papacy, and in the founding of our new country, we didn't want any influence of a church-run state. It was a representative republic, a Protestant representative republic, and we had the ability to worship as we chose to do so.
So when people say we're a Christian nation, that's just not true.
No, we are a Christian nation.
But you just said we threw all the stuff in the water.
No. I was saying, because we didn't want any, our founders wanted to shy away from a government-state relationship. And we had the history of papal Rome, and we had the history of the Anglican Church. We didn't want to partake in that. So when we set up our country, We set it up as a representative republic where we would be given rights from God, and our government would uphold those rights, not give us those rights, but guarantee those God-given rights to us. So there would be no longer any so-called, quote-unquote, religious persecution.
Okay. All right. This is KPOG 102.9, The View from a Pew. I'm J. Michael McKoy, along with my co-hosts Frank the Verse Thomas and Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, as usual. And as so many times in the past, we have a live text line, and that is 515-442-5764. Do me a favor and write that down on your hand or your palm or something, and put it in your contacts so you have it at all times. That is not only the place to text us, but it is also the place to call us. Same number. You can either talk to us or you can text us. And again, that's 515-442-KPOG.
So they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" And he was given much, and he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months, or in Bible prophecy, 1,260 years. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. And it was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. And all who dwell upon the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the Lamb's book of life, of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If anyone hath an ear, and we all have ears, but if anyone hath an ear, let him hear. He who leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He who kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Verse 11, which we are starting to study on today, June 4th. Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. And as I said, this is where I'm identifying the United States of America. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb. And you notice that there was no crowns on the horns. In other beasts, the horns are crowned. These are uncrowned.
Hold on. Just talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old. So this new beast is the lamb.
The lamb. It's a lamb-like beast.
And is that supposed to represent Christ?
That would represent predominantly a religious nation, a religious power that would rise up after this first beast, this deadly beast, received its deadly wound, its mortal wound.
All right, and that would be a secular, atheist, agnostic, no God, no Jesus, no religion.
No, I mean it could be that, but there is also, as you've heard, wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yes.
So this papal system pretends to be of a religious nature, but it is persecuting under the radar by putting people to death for all kinds of heretical reasons, burning at the stake, stretching at the rack. I read once,
But that's not the lamb.
no, that's not the
first
lamb.
one.
That's the beast that is that. So what
And that dude's dead.
Right. But what I'm trying to establish is a time frame here when America pops up. It comes up after this first beast receives the deadly wound in 1798. Our founding was in 1776. But, you know, so what I'm saying is the time frame of these two beasts, the one dying and the one coming up, can only point to America.
Okay.
So it says.
And well, hold on, you don't get away with it that easy.
All right.
Why can it only point to America?
Well, because we're jumping in kind of in the middle of the story. There's things that reference up till this point in Daniel and Revelation that would point to this time frame when this beast power died. It had 42 months to make war with the saints, You go to what the papacy did during what is referred to as the Dark Ages, which I would date from about 538 to 1798 AD, which would be the 1260-year period that would be represented in Revelation 13 as the 42 months. If you have a day for a year in Bible prophecy, it works out to 1260 years. So what I'm saying is there's only, and what I said back a while ago, all other beasts come up out of the sea. And sea in Bible prophecy represents people. Not actual water, but it represents people. And all these prior beasts that come up conquered and reconquered the same land, the same territory. So when this new beast, this lamb-like beast, comes up out of the earth, it's this new start. It's something not over in Europe that's been conquered a dozen times over. It's the United States of America. It's a new sect of land that there's been no persecution and it hasn't been controlled by papal Rome.
Okay, Frank, just close your ears for a second. I want to talk to Bob. When did I miss this? I mean, I'm 59 years old, and I've never heard this stuff.
Well, I think part of it is that many churches avoid the book of Revelation, and many times it's not studied as much as the other scriptures. What do you think, Frank?
Well, for instance, of all the books that and Calvin is a great man, so I'm not picking on Calvin here. And I think Christian Beck, my friend, could testify to this. Of all the books of the Bible, Calvin made the least commentary on the book of Revelation. So there's just some churches that just flat out ignore the book.
Well, and part of it is because, Mac, doesn't it kind of sound confusing?
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. But I always say, talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old, and that's what you're trying to do. And you're like in PhD land, and I'm still on Betty's magic window
but
here.
Understand this. When John the Revelator is writing this, it's roughly, he's on the Isle of Patmos. John the Beloved, John the Revelator, he's on the Isle of Patmos. He dies in 90 AD. So he's receiving all of this apocalyptic information, and he's writing in imagery and symbolism, and that's how it basically got past the Church of Rome to be put in the Bible. They probably thought they was being cute by half, putting in the ravings of a madman, but little did they know these ravings of the madman was going to identify this beast power for those who have ears, because several times in Revelation it says to those who have ears. We all got a set of ears, but all of us aren't listening. Some denominations listen more than others.
And it's not a matter of, it's a spiritual thing.
Yes.
You know, it's not he who has ears needs to hear what the Spirit is saying. So you have to have spiritual ears.
Yes.
You have to, Bob, hold on, Frank. So, Bob, what you're saying is you have to understand the language. If he's talking French and I don't speak French, then I don't have the ears to hear him.
Well, I think it's a matter of, it's the book of Revelation of Jesus Christ. And so it's a matter of, it has to be revealed to you. What I'm saying is, it's not just, many people read it and many people will interpret it in one way or another, and it's not always the same interpretation.
Well, one of the best teachers that I've ever had in my life is, and you guys all know him, is Luke Tim. And he's done a couple of Bible studies that I've been a part of in Revelation. And I don't hear these type of things. But we're studying the same book, the same Bible, the same translate. Well, this is King James, and I'm in whatever I am.
Well, I'm going to throw out some technical terms here, Ron.
Oh, good. Now we're really going to go over it.
Well, no, but I'm going to simplify it.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. There we go.
There is 4 views of the book of Revelation. One is preterist view, which is kind of something that's already happened. There's an idealist view. There's a futurist view, and there is a historist view. So some people want to look at the book of Revelation as something that already happened. The 7 churches of Asia Minor, it done happened, it's over with, and the book of Revelation doesn't pertain to anybody anymore because it already happened. But there's more of a futurist view that Revelation is not just a history book, but it's a book of future events to happen. Because there's a Lamb's Book of Life that is in heaven. Your name is contained in that book. And anybody whose name is not in that Lamb's Book of Life is going to receive the mark of the beast. That's nothing that ever happened in the history of the world. Nero can't be the Antichrist. There is all kinds of people all through history. Nero was anti-to Christ. But there is one Antichrist. Satan is the Antichrist that will impersonate the second coming of Christ, try to hoax the second coming of Christ, and will come. And the Bible says if Christ is in the wilderness, if he's in the temple, go not, because we're instructed not to go, because we know how Christ will come. As lightning from the east to the west, every eye shall see. We know it's going to be a cataclysmic event.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
So what I hear you saying is that the devil, the accuser, the Jezebel spirit, is going to return to earth, and we're going to think it's Jesus.
Well, the Christians who are in the Word will know the difference, because we know how Christ will come. When he ascended into heaven, the angel said, "Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye staring off into heaven? This same Jesus will come back in like manner." So as he ascended, he will descend to heaven, and every eye will see. It will be a cataclysmic event like the lightning from the east to the west. So if somebody says right now today, if Christian breaking news, if Bob reads me a Christian breaking news story that says Christ is over in the Arabian desert performing miracles, we know that's not Christ. Because we know how Christ is going to come.
Why can't the accuser come the same way? I mean, if he can imitate him, if he can fool us all.
Because he can't, he can hoax it, and he can impersonate it, but he can only impersonate it to a point, because he doesn't have the sovereign ability and the omnipresence and all the things, attributes of Christ. He doesn't have a way to exactly duplicate Christ's second coming.
Well, yes, and the thing is, we've had people over the years that have called themselves the Christ.
Yeah.
We've had people following these people. Where you look at Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
You look at where the term "drinking the Kool-Aid."
Yeah.
Was that Guyana? I think.
Yeah.
Or
Jim
Jones.
Jim Jones.
Jim Jones. I mean, all these profess to be the Messiah, to be Christ.
But they didn't come down, Frank, help me here, on a bolt of lightning.
As lightning from the east to the west, every eye shall see. It will be a cataclysmic event where it's going to be unmistakable what's happened. Nobody will doubt when Christ comes and returns the second time, because he will have his host of angels with him. He will be riding, he will have white hair. He'll be riding on a horse. He'll have his angels with swords of fire.
That's the big tattoo on the thigh.
He will come in a manner in which cannot be mistaken and duplicated by Satan. But Satan will try to, in his own limited ability, to hoax and impersonate Christ's return. He will bring down, and it talks about further in the book of Revelation chapter 13, how they will rain down fire from heaven to perform miracles to enhance this impersonation.
You're listening to KPOG 102.9 on the internet. It's kpog.org, and we have an app, which is just KPOG, and it's on your phone. It's a great app, and you can listen to the station 24/7. This is The View from A Pew. I'm J. Michael McKoy, along with my co-host Frank the Verse Thomas, and of course Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching our chat. And we thank you for listening today. This is our maiden voyage. We are very thankful for Justin, who's here and has been helping us out, Bob, who's on the computer, Brian, who's helped, all the people that helped make today possible. We're not all fancied up. We don't have a lot of music going. We don't have jingles. We don't have sponsors yet. We're just doing this thing organically. And I've never done a radio station organically. It's always been, boom, here it is. Take the cover off, and boy, does that turkey look baked. It is delicious. This one we decided to just kind of go more in prayer, God's will, organically. We have one camera that you can watch on Facebook. Eventually, we'll probably rebuild the Webcast One Live studios with the multiple cameras and the green screen and all that, but God just wasn't telling me to do it that way. And I hope that makes sense to you, and if it doesn't, let's get together and we'll pray about it. But this is just really of Him. And that's as organic as we're going to be for right now. And every day we're going to have a Bible study. We're going to do prayer requests. We're going to go to the Breaking Christian News Network and talk about some of the news that's impacting us. When we're done with the Bible study today, we'll go back a little bit on the Supreme Court of the United States saying that the baker in Colorado did not violate human rights, civil rights of a gay couple when they demanded that they bake him a birthday or a wedding cake. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Okay, go ahead, Frank.
Okay, so we'll pick up here in verse 12. Keeping in mind that the first beast received a fatal mortal wound. So in verse 12 it picks up. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs and even makes fire come down from heaven and on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he is granted to do in the sight of the beast. So God gives him his boundaries in which, God gives the beast and gives Satan the boundaries in which they can deceive people.
Hold on. So God writes the rules to the accuser on how he can cheat.
Yeah.
But he limits his cheating.
He limits his cheating. So he cannot perfectly hoax Christ's second coming.
Okay.
Telling those who dwell on earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted the power to give breath to the image of the beast. Now that's interesting. There's an image of the beast, and I would suggest to you that the United States is that image of the beast that gives its sword, its military might, its weapons, because Rome right now has they have an army that protects the Pope, but they have no military army like they once had. So for Rome to have some teeth, it has to glob on to a mighty nation who has the economic and military might to sanction the people in the world to institute this mark. It goes on, it says, he was granted power to give breath to the image and the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, and that no one may buy or sell except those who have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is the wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add, Frank, as we
Not right
wrap up we're going to wrap up the Bible study for today. All right. Bob, anything you want to ask?
No, Frank's covered as much as it should be covered.
All right. Tomorrow we will study Revelation 14, Revelation 16, 19, and 20. And Justin, where did you say that people could go and find this on the web? www.ssnet, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, net.org. And there is a copy of this book called Adult Sabbath School. And we are in the third month of the second quarter. And this is preparing for the end times. And it will change after the end of June. So we appreciate you, or I hope you appreciate that you can get this information. You can get it free of charge, or you can go to a bookstore and order it. You can go online and order it if you want the hard copy. And every day you'll know what the Bible study is and what we're going to talk about. And we want your voice. If you don't agree with this or you think it's a different one, we want to hear it. Okay. We've got one essential on this radio station. And that's that God came to earth, born of a virgin as a baby. Had a 3-year ministry, and at the end of that 3 years, he was crucified on the cross. and all our sins were forever forgiven, and a gift of salvation is ours, a gift. We didn't earn it. We didn't ask for it. We didn't pay enough for it. No super studs here. Jesus died on the cross to give you that salvation. The question is, will you accept it? There's no doubt that he's going to offer it to you. The question is, will you accept it? Going to take a break. Coming back live here on 102.9. This is KPOG at kpog.org.
I hear static.
Okay, I want to play Rugged Cross. So how do I
When
do
he's
that?
got the computer on, that's when the
Put it on
static, when he
rotation.
mutes the computer,
Okay,
then the static goes away.
go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Okay, good. Take a little break. Jill's telling people to go online and look at the top of my head. I got to do something about that.
You got a good hat.
You gotta get some of that salt shaker stuff that you shake.
GLH, the spray that, remember that
Oh,
from
yeah.
Ronco?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a can of white spray paint at home, I'll spray that.
yeah.
Spray his scalp. Yeah, we're all getting thin.
Oh.
You're talking about hair, not bodies.
Yeah.
All right, then when we come back, I'll do a little review of who we are and what we're doing, and then we're going to go to the baker thing. And the conversation is, when do we as Christians say that's too far? You know, and I think we had a perfect example today, and I didn't even think about that. If I'm rolling down the road and I'm praying to God and my eyes are closed and I have an accident, am I not held responsible for that accident because I'm exercising my religious rights to pray?
Well, correct, but at some point, the persecution is gonna come irregardless of what we do, because it has to. So at some point, we're just gonna throw in the towel on government, because government's no longer gonna protect the rights of the Christians, and we answer to a higher king than what's here on earth.
Whoa.
Just like the old days, Bob.
Yeah.
I have a fan on it.
And what a top of your head it is. It's Troy. He's been listening.
Who?
Well, everybody can
Right, right.
still hear us on the Facebook,
Right.
so,
Oh,
Yeah,
because of that
well, they
camera?
can hear on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Oh.
yeah, they can always hear us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hi, Troy. I'm going to get a hat. Or maybe I'll get a beanie.
Give them a sombrero.
No, because you can, that will get you in political trouble with the PC
Oh.
police too. Like the girl who wore the Japanese dress to her prom, had the slit down the side. She was offending the Asian community by wearing that dress. And if you wear a sombrero, you get in trouble with the PC
Didn't
police
even think
too.
about that.
All right, we're at 30 seconds. Maybe I'll bring my Hanukkah? No,
Yamaka?
yarmulke that I wore at the
Yeah, the wall.
wall. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
or maybe I'll put signs on my head,
Yeah.
advertisers.
Just put KPOG down over on top of your head.
This is KPOG 102.9, Power of God. You can reach us also on the internet, on Facebook, at my Facebook page, Mac, J. Michael McKoy, the initial J. You can also download a free app that you can get our programming on your smartphone. Are there dumb phones? Do we still have dumb phones? Do we? Okay. You've gone smart, right?
Oh, I'm smart.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, and then you can also get us on the internet at kpog.org. We're discovering that when we go to break and play a song or something like that, that the camera that we have in studio continues to broadcast from the microphone on what we say. And I said something about, I've got to do something about the top of my head. because everybody could see it, which is not a big deal to me, but I guess it bothers me a little bit. And Troy said, yeah, I can see the top of your head. So what I think I'm going to do is maybe sell the top of my head for advertisers and get like one of your white hats, Bob, and I can just spray paint messages on there. I can do that. I don't really care. All right. So 30 seconds wrap up on the Bible study today. And that is that you believe that the second beast that Revelation 13 speaks of is America, and that God is waiting for Jesus to return until we have been absolutely, persecuted to no end, and then God will step in.
Well, I'll wrap it up just by saying this. The world has to be divided into two groups. That which is righteous still. That which is wicked still. There's no in between. There's no gray. There's no middle ground. You're lost. You're saved. You have the mark of the beast and the seal of the living God. You're going to have one of those two things. God will return for his people, and everybody else who he does not return for will have the mark of the beast. And the 7 last plagues that will fall on the earth will fall on those who have the mark of the beast.
Okay, so, and the mark of the beast is absolutely 666.
No, it's a mark in your forehead or your right hand, and there could be a biochip involved with it to control buying and selling. But
well, that's my credit card.
Well, yeah, it could be a chip you have in your hand that you run under a scanner. It could be all kinds of things.
Yeah, but it could be the credit card I'm holding in my hand.
Well, exactly. But what happens when they just determine? Do you realize, for example, that the Federal Reserve doesn't really, except for the sake of replenishing the money supply with some new money that's wearing out, doesn't really print money anymore. They just add keystrokes on a computer, for like the Federal Reserve to the big banks. They just add some zeros on the account, and all money transfers right now could go immediately. We could eliminate the currency system and go to a monetary computer system only, where you do all your banking online, you do all your banking with a card, with a number. That's why it talks about a number in the forehead or the hand. The forehead, those who believe it. The right hand will be those who put their hand to it to go along, to get along, to not rock the boat.
All right, so the numbers 666 just mean numbers.
No, well, there's a physical number to this beast, and I would suggest if you look up the Roman numerals for Vicarius Filii Dei, which is the title of the Pope, those numbers will earmark the Pope, the papacy power at the end of time. You give Roman numerals to Vicarius Filii Dei, 666, and that's in all Pope's headdresses, Vicarius Filii Dei.
So the Pope's the Antichrist?
The Pope no, Satan is the Antichrist. The papacy is the beast power.
Whew. I'm going to have to say some Hail Marys when I go home tonight.
You can be confused, Mac. It's okay.
Yeah, oh, good, because I am confused. All right, we've got about 8 minutes left before we wrap up our first show, and thank you very much for joining us. And this isn't going to be like a regular radio show. We're not going to try to be fancy, and we're not going to try to be loud, and we're not going to try to get ratings. There's a way to get ratings in this business, and then there's a way to just do great radio. And the consequence or benefit of doing great radio is you get ratings. And quite frankly, that's the way I've always done it. You don't need to give away money at 20 minutes after the hour. You don't need to have a secret word. You don't need all those games. What you have is you have good content. And this radio station has good content. And the delivery is really good. And, we're working on the frequency. You're not going to get it throughout the metro, but I've been on many radio stations in my life that started out low power. Think about my first station, KANY at 106.3, became KJJY at 106.3,
And then in 1998 or 1988 became 92.5 KJJY. Think about the dot. Think about 98.3. Think about 99.3. These are all stations that I have the wonderful, wonderful opportunity to work with. And every one of those radio stations were about content, not about sales and not about ratings. So what you want in a radio station is important to me. I'm not going to say you're going to get it, because I know, like, Michael Chapman would love to be on all day long talking about, dogs, and Jill would like to come on and read excerpts from the book Jill the Hungry Angel, and those things obviously are fun and games. But here we're exalting the Father's word without wasting, and Bible studies and prayer requests and topical events, current events that impact us as Christians. Which is where we're going to end today, because the Supreme Court of the United States, the Supreme Court of these United States. Now, you're going to think that I'm talking about the Supreme Court ruling in California that happened a week or so ago, but I'm not. This happened either late yesterday or early today, that the bakers, the people who were asked to bake a cake for a non-traditional marriage, and then were told they had broken people's civil rights as well as human rights, and were shamed and put out of business. And just, I've met these people, and it was just horrible what they went through. It was like the death of a child. It's just sad what we as a society do to other people when we don't get our way. But the Supreme Court ruled that they didn't hurt anybody, that they didn't break any laws, that they didn't go against the Constitution, and they had every right to say no for baking that cake.
Well, you do understand there's a delicate balance of power on the United States Supreme Court, and if there had been a different result, in the election back in November, we could very well be singing a different tune had another particular candidate won the presidency, because they would have made a choice for the Supreme Court that may not have went along with this particular decision. So that's why I am re-emphasizing this idea that our Cyrus #2 is pushing back on these rights till God's people are sealed. And when God's people are sealed, those angels standing at the four corners of the earth are instructed to let go. So we have a short time. We have a long ways to go and a short time to get there, because world events are happening at a rapid rate.
Now, you believe that we truly are in the last days.
I truly believe that the way world events are unfolding, that we are in the last days.
And you believe part of that is the election of the current administration.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we're not making predictions, and we're certainly not telling you to, forfeit all your bills and your responsibilities and go live life happily as if there's no tomorrow, because there may not be a tomorrow. Quite frankly, we should do that every day.
God asks us to stand our post, but at the same time be sober and vigilant and be ready for his coming at any time, because it could be as a thief in the night. If you die tonight, if I die tonight, as far as we know, God came for us. That's the second coming. I'm talking about the cataclysmic end of the world, everything we know, judgment and the earth made new, and restoration of this sinful fallen world to the rest of the sinless universe is going to happen one time. That's a future event.
But I know for a fact, Frank, that every 10, 15, 20 years, some person says what you say, and then it doesn't happen, and then everybody laughs at Christians because the Bible says we will know not when it happens. We will know not when he comes.
But Christ said there are signs. When you see the leaves on the trees turn brown, you know that fall and winter is approaching. There's signs that point to Christ coming, and we're as Christians are not to name a day, but we're to be observant of the signs of the times.
All right. Well, until then, here's what I love to say. Tell somebody you love them tonight.
Call somebody that you've been estranged from. Make it hard. Don't make it easy. Don't wave at your neighbor, a neighbor that you've not liked for a long time. Reach out to that one, that resentment that you've had, that burns in your gut, that drives you crazy, that drives the accuser into your heart to push out love and to push up hate. That's the one Jesus is calling you to forgive. You know, I'm convinced Jesus had a lot of messages when he came here, and I love them all. But the three messages that I heard so clearly: love, grace, and forgiveness. You will be forgiven by God the way you forgive others. You may think that's just a Hallmark greeting card or something that it says in the Bible, but it's true. Don't take the chance that it's not. Have faith in the Creator, the one that made you, the one that brought you here. He says forgive. So today, before the sun goes down, forgive. And let that person know that you've forgiven them. Because time is running out. Whether it's because of the apocalypse or the other beast, or maybe just your heart. We all have death, and ours is coming. Fulfill that resentment. Give it up. Give it to Christ. And say, I forgive you. I'm J. Michael McKoy. Thanks for listening to our maiden voyage here on the 4th day of June in the Lord's year 2018. This is The View from a Pew on KPOG 102.9. Push off. Oh, we are
In
on.
this session.
In this session,
I don't have to push off here.
Yeah, it's already off. I clicked it off.
Get rid of the Facebook, please.
Click in.